lost yourself after a difficult relationship and you want to know the steps, move forward and actually make decisions for yourself with direction and purpose, this video is perfect for you. My name is Dr. Amen Kaur, and if you have been in a difficult relationship, there's actually a change that happens in our brain, and there's a disconnection between the different parts of the brain, even the right and the left side of the brain. And this can leave us feeling purposeless, without direction, lost. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to explore how you can find your purpose again, knowing what it is that you want again, connecting with that feeling of being alive again, to feel like you again. Is look at how do we connect and align all the parts of the brain, the thinking part of the brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. And then there's the limbic part of the brain, which is all around your emotional well-being and being able to sit in your emotions okay. And then there's also the basic housekeeper, if you like, and that is called the brain stem. It helps us with breathing, our heart, it pumps, it's just looking after us, just the basic housekeeping. Everything is all connected. And to really find yourself in terms of your purpose, everything needs to just work together. And that's how we can stop that feeling of feeling lost and or maybe incomplete or unable to make the right decisions for yourself or even knowing what it is that you want. You see, in our earlier life, there would have been something that had happened to you that will enable you to really know what your purpose is, because it's actually innate. It's within each of us. And the truth of the matter is, it's not easy being a human being, okay? Especially when you've had relationship, or trauma from a relationship, because where as a human being it impacts us, which is very different from an animal. For instance, if you tell a dog off, for instance, it'll still love you unconditionally. It will shake off the trauma or feeling bad, and it will come back again and again with unconditional love. Because the problem is when we're growing up, no one really gives us direction on how to deal with difficult scenarios or how to decide what to do next, how to integrate different types of experiences in ourself. They kind of help us integrate all the happy memories, but sometimes we don't know what to do with difficult scenarios. We need to learn how to make lemonade from lemons. Really, really difficult going through bullying or any type of trauma. And sometimes no one will really believe what we've been through, because part of us doesn't fully believe everything that's happened. It's really hard to grasp when there's overwhelming emotional trauma. And sometimes we don't know that someone is even doing that, is making us feel bad about ourselves. No one teaches us proactively, how do you deal with situations where you feel like you're not good enough, or someone makes you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel devalued, or there's someone else is reacting because of their trauma. How do you deal with it without taking it personally? There's very little direction. You might have got some direction from therapists or teachers or mentors, someone that believed in you to help you manage some of those. But generally, if we're honest, we're really on our own. And this is a very difficult process. We need to be able to wake up in the morning and know what it is that we want and know what we want to choose. We don't know what we want, and we don't know how to choose when when we've been through trauma. And usually there's so many different paths that we can take. And sometimes we think that some paths are not possible for us. So it can be very confusing and very overwhelming. And we need to find a sense of purpose. And when you can find that, what I call is your inner knowing, everything in your life will have direction. all your energy will be concentrated. It's like you will know exactly what path you want to take with surety, with confidence, even if you're not sure how you'll do it, but you know what you want to do. And that isn't a life that becomes boring. Even when you're repeating or you've got discipline, you know that you're willing to solve any problems, and you will actually live the most exciting life that could ever happen to you if you can find your direction and your purpose again. And the good thing about this is once you really hone in on your purpose and you know and learn how to integrate the difficult relationship or the difficult trauma, you will never feel lost again. You will never have that lost feeling to this degree again. And many of you know that lost feeling, especially when you've been in a difficult relationship, you can wake up in the morning and not know what to do. But instead, you'll be like, yes, I know what I need to accomplish. And people can come along and try and distract you and have their dramas and be boring or irritating or try and cut up or devalue you. But when you truly heal from relationship trauma and you connect back to you, and it's not just talk, we can see it in brain scans where you can actually see there's different parts of your brain that's disconnected. And that is what doesn't make you feel whole. But if you can connect back to this amazing piece of internal guidance that you already have, you will then know the purpose of every single thing that's happened to you, including the difficult relationship. So you will know that maybe you've had a difficult relationship where you had to listen to somebody else to survive, because and disconnect from your own self so that you can really value yourself again. You can really value what it means to connect back to yourself, and actually how following somebody else doesn't get you anywhere. You can actually start connecting back to yourself and this part of you that genuinely wishes the best for you. And I really hope that you can do this, because that kind of inner knowing and knowing what the process is involved in that is like you're getting your life back. Now, there is a process around getting your purpose back after a difficult relationship and to get rid of this lost feeling. It's not a mystery, it's actually scientific. You need to make all the connections back in your brain again. And one of the things that we can do to actually help us with this is really go back to the beginning. When you were born, you were no short of a miracle. You are so unique. Your DNA has never occurred in the universe going back billions of years. And it will never, ever occur again in the future. Your life experience, your DNA, your parents, all the different experiences that you've had, early growing up, everything has been unique to you. Nobody, there's no one else like you in any way, shape, or form. There's no one else like you that's had your set of experiences in terms of emotional experiences. Your DNA, the way you experience life is so unique, and your perspective is so unique. You are so unique. And because of that, you're one of a kind. You're one of a kind. And that is your power source. That is where your power is. And you don't want to waste this. You don't want to waste you because there's no one else like you. That would be the worst thing that you could do with your life. And that is where your power is. Your power is vital to find your uniqueness of what makes you you. And every single experience, if you could integrate it and allow yourself to process everything that's happened to you, you could then use that experience to learn from that experience and then be able to express it in that uniquely you way by you being you. The problem we have is that when we've been in difficult relationships, we experience trauma. And that trauma then becomes a block, because trauma is basically an overwhelming experience that we can't process. So the way that our brain works is it's like everything comes in and it's like we have to file it away. If we don't file it away, it gets kind of, you know, accumulated, and the functions don't work as well. So then we have to put all our energy into resisting that experience, or wishing that it hadn't happened, or hoping that it would have been different, or making meaning out of it about us, and then trying to protect ourselves from the emotional overwhelm around it. So that's where everything kind of goes to pot a little bit. And there's a lot of energy that we need to actually resist that experience that we actually went through. When we can actually process that energy and process that experience, we actually learn to let go of that overwhelming emotional experience, but we make sense of it and we can see it in a different way without getting emotionally triggered or feeling physical sensations in our body because of that. It's like we learn to harvest whatever it is from that experience. It could be your strength. It could be the integrity that you have, or the compassion that you have, or the vulnerability that you have as a human being, or the empathy that you have. You actually start to harvest all the good stuff from that experience, no matter how bad the experience was. Okay. There's still something incredible about you. And we then can use that to actually create a path or a direction that is right for us, be it in your career, your relationships, in every sense. So, people, the truth is we need to look at what happened to you, okay, growing up. It's not that simple. When you were a child, when you were 4 or 5 years old, or maybe younger, there's a great psychologist called Maslow, and he says that you have impulse voices, like little voices in your head that show you, I love this, I hate this, I like this food, I don't like this broccoli, I like this, you know, food, or I like this smell, I don't like this smell. Every single thing. Or I like this person, I don't like this person. You know, you were really aware of who you were, of what you liked and what you didn't like. And there was like a voice, sensations, energy that you sensed. And when you're very young, these impulses, these things that you like or don't like, they direct you towards your intelligence, your and there's someone called Howard Gardner. He says there's 5 frames of mind. And he talks about the idea of there's 5 forms of intelligence. The problem is, because of our way of our schooling, we think intelligence is around, maybe being good at maths or remembering things, but actually in reality, there's many forms of intelligence. It could be to do with words, it could be about abstract, it could be to do with maths, it could be kinesthetic intelligence of what you do with your body, or social intelligence. And what's happened is, when you were growing up, you would naturally go towards what you enjoyed. You would naturally follow and, follow that purpose. And usually there's like 1 or maybe 2 that you're focused towards, but you knew what direction that you needed to go to. It's like this inner guidance system. The problem is, we went to school and school's designed in a certain way. And if you didn't fit in with what school thought was intelligence, you might have gone away thinking that you're not intelligent. And that's not the truth. You are intelligent. It's just that you might have a different type of intelligence. And it's actually getting to understand, what is it that your natural intelligence is. So I want you to really take some time after this video, or pause this video, really think about, what is my natural intelligence? What is it that you naturally wanted to do or enjoyed doing as a child? You will kind of feel like, when you think back to it, it's like this visceral experience where you feel it in your body, you feel alive, you feel free. Yeah, that's where your power lies when you were young. So go back, think about when you were 4 or 5, and you would have had this picture of kind of a direction, or a voice inside you, like calling you towards doing something naturally. Yeah. And you will know. And I remember when I had an experience like this, I was in a marketplace. So you might think it's something really minor, but I was probably about 4 or 5, and I was in a marketplace and I saw someone, in the market selling fruit, probably. And I was just absolutely in awe of them. Like, time stopped for me. And I just saw this person who was using their voice, and really didn't matter if someone's listening or didn't listen, but they were using their voice in an authentic way, really being real for themselves. And I loved that. And I think that was my visceral moment of really speaking my truth no matter what. And, you know, that's why I'm here now. And I really appreciate this. And if you could help support this channel by subscribing and following, I really, really, really appreciate it. Also, Albert Einstein, when he was 4 years old, he gave his father a birthday gift of a compass. He was absolutely mesmerized by this compass, because he was like, there's invisible forces out there that are moving this needle. And he was obsessed by it. Steve Jobs, when he was 7 or 8, or maybe even younger, his father passed a store of technical devices in the window, and he was absolutely hypnotized by these devices. So you will feel it in your body. It's like, but it would have been something that would have happened maybe when you were younger, when we didn't have all this conditioning. Tiger Woods literally started screaming with joy when he saw his father hitting some golf balls in his garage. So you will feel alive when you think of that purpose, or when you think back. It's important to think back, because I will be honest with you, when you've been in a difficult relationship and if you have trauma, part of the sensations within yourself right now is you might not be able to connect to how you feel. It's like we can feel like we're dead inside or numb. We just don't have that energy, that excitement like we used to. So what we have to do is really think back and feel, what was it? Because part of the problem is that we're disconnected to our emotions now, because we had to be when we'd been in a difficult relationship, and we had to numb ourselves so that we didn't feel the overwhelm. But you do have this inner knowing, and what you want, and what we have to do is rediscover it. And when you rediscover it, you will see that it is easier. It's easier for you to move forward. Life becomes easier. We have to acknowledge that you weren't allowed to be you in that toxic relationship. That's why it's toxic. And hear your own voice inside of you, and you're listening to what other people are saying. And remember, when we're in toxic relationships, they're programming us by repeating over and over again in lots of different ways that we're not good enough. Then we will start to not hear our own thoughts. So we had to literally switch off our thoughts. We had to literally switch off our feelings so we could survive. And if you did have a feeling or you did have a want, you might have been told that you were selfish for wanting that. Because what a toxic person or narcissist can never allow you to have is your own thoughts, your own feelings. They need you to disconnect from your inner truth, from who you really are. And it might be that as you start to connect with yourself, you might feel these overwhelming emotions to begin with, and you don't know what to do with them. So, what we need to do is emotionally release some of the emotional overwhelm, so then you can emotionally engage with life again. The There's a lot of science that says that we learn faster when we're emotionally engaged. If there's a reason why you want to learn something because you feel passionate about it, or maybe you've fallen in love with somebody that speaks a certain language, so you'll have a reason to want to learn that language now, and you will excel in life. So the thing here is, there's so much science around happiness and success as well. So if you literally want to excel in your life, you do need to feel good within yourself. There is that overall correlation between happiness and success, health and wealth and relationships. Everything improves in your life if you can emotionally connect with something. So, the first step in finding our purpose is that we have to engage with our emotions. And if we struggle with this because we're numbing it, the only reason why you're numbing is because it's a survival mechanism, and it's okay. You had to do that. But if you're out of the relationship, or if you're able to get therapy, trauma therapy, whilst you're in that toxic relationship, you need to connect and process some of those emotions so that you can then connect back, and you don't need to numb yourself, so you can feel alive and feel what it is that you want. It would be so wasted. I really, if you don't connect with that seed that's within you of your uniqueness, which is your superpower, that's literally waiting to blossom into something absolutely incredible. If you don't, it's such a waste, because you are incredible and there's so much more for you to explore. And once you connect with yourself emotionally and you release that trauma that you've experienced, the next thing we need to do is dig. We need to go digging and dig, and see from your childhood, what is it that you were meant to do? Yeah, what is it that you would feel alive? What is your compass, if you like, your direction, that seed? And you feel in the emotions, and you can feel those emotions in your body. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not something you can just, use the pen and paper and just use your thinking mind for. It's emotional, it's a physical. You feel it in your body, and then it makes sense in your thinking mind. And then when you actually start fulfilling or moving towards that, it's like you're swimming in the current, you're going with the flow. And this is the easiest way of getting your life back on track after you've been in a toxic relationship, where everything starts to click together, and then you have the joy that actually pulls you forward to actually make that difference. Otherwise, we can go through scenarios where we're procrastinating, we're in bed all the time. We can't deal with this heaviness. We need to learn how to deal with it so you can feel again. And then you will know, okay, I understand. I understand why I was lost and directionless, because I needed to connect to myself. Then this experience of being in a toxic relationship isn't wasted, because you're so fully connected to your inner knowing of what it is that you want to do, that if someone else came along that was a narcissist, you wouldn't listen. You'd be like, no, I am going to focus on listening to me. And that's the truth, right? Sometimes we have to see that, choose not to numb ourselves, but to actually love again. And as human beings, we are designed to connect. We're wired up for connection, empathy. We have mirror neurons that help us feel and sense others. We want to connect with another human being. This is a need. Yeah, it's one of our needs in life. And the way we want to connect with others is through your uniqueness. You need to allow yourself to be you. And then you will feel a deep love for yourself. This is what self love is. It's like allowing yourself to process the trauma, and then really following what your own guidance is. Then you can actually fall in love with you, and you're grounded in yourself. And you can either, the truth of the matter is, there's two ways of getting to your purpose. One is you just focus on what it is that you want. You have a desire for something, and you start moving towards it, and you're engaged in that, and you're driven towards it because you're stirred up emotionally. You can go the other route, which we've had to disconnect from ourselves, and then have our brain give out all these neurochemicals in our brain and our body, where we struggle, we go through so much emotional overwhelm, there's so much pain, and that gives us a reason to change. But if we didn't feel that pain, that struggle, that agitation within our own body, the emotional overwhelm, we wouldn't change. we wouldn't actually get to connecting and following our purpose. So maybe this is God's way or the universe's way or your way of actually getting back on track and following your purpose and really getting to know who you truly are and what you're here to do. So I know it's been a struggle and it's really, really tough. But then that experience gives you some sort of meaning and purpose of getting back to who you truly are, and then rewire yourself so you actually fulfill what it is that you want. If that is something you want to do, please also look into the resources section and you will find a masterclass where I really look into the brain and how it all functions. And then, because truly love is the greatest healer. So if you can, be kind, be loving, no matter what you're going through. Please, no criticism towards yourself. Please, forgive yourself for making mistakes. It's okay. And so just keep sending yourself love. Till next time.